Breaking news tonight, terror at Texas shopping mall. At least 19 people are dead.
Go, come on!
Chaos and confusion as a gunman fires shot after shot inside an El Paso Walmart.
And then they started coming closer together, like the shots were going do, 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 do.
Shoppers hiding, not knowing where to run. Dozens more rush to the hospital.
I've never been so scared in my life.
The young suspect now in police custody. Authorities now searching for a motive. Plus, new questions tonight on just how safe so-called soft targets are. Today's shootings just days after a gunman opened fire at a food festival. Deadly cliff collapse. A hillside comes tumbling down, trapping beachgoers below, killing 3. Local authorities warning more landslides could be coming. And swimmers beware. Another possible shark bite today. A diver rushed to the hospital. More beaches closed after yet more dangerous encounters. Plus, flying high, 2 United Airlines pilots arrested today for suspicious of drinking before they were supposed to fly. The flight canceled, passengers stranded, and it's not the only time that's happened this week.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. We begin with another mass shooting in America, this time at a back-to-school sale at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. According to law enforcement sources, at least 19 people are dead, at least 40 injured. As the gunman moved through the store, terrified shoppers screaming, running for safety. This is what it looked and sounded like as he fired indiscriminately. There are so many victims at the hospital, police have put out an urgent call for blood donations. We now know the identity of the 21-year-old suspect in custody. An investigation into the motive is now underway. We begin our coverage tonight with NBC's Kathy Park.
Panic in El Paso this morning when a day of shopping
let's go,
turned into horror with an active shooter on the loose.
Run out that way.
Shoppers rushing out of Cielo Vista Mall and the Walmart Supercenter next door, where bodies were seen lying outside. Stores went into lockdown as his JCPenney employee began directing people to safety.
He's coming from this side. You guys have to run down.
The shooter's that way?
Others choosing to hide from the danger. Kiana Long and her husband made their way out, unharmed but shaken by the terrifying moments inside the Walmart.
The shots were going do, 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 do. And then he was like, is that gunshots? I said yes. People were running inside saying there was a shooter.
The first calls to police coming in just after 10 a.m. local time. Within minutes, multiple law enforcement agencies swarmed the area and secured it while telling people to stay away.
We are start transitioning into a homicide scene or a possible homicide scene, and the scene will be secured and locked down, and our criminal investigation will start.
Tonight, law enforcement sources confirming 21-year-old Patrick Pracias is in custody, and multiple victims are being treated at area hospitals.
We have no information, and we have not put out a concrete response on what the motive for this shooting is. We are working that.
Governor Greg Abbott writing, the state of Texas will do everything it can to ensure justice is delivered to the perpetrators of this heinous act. This busy Texas shopping center becoming the latest mass shooting less than a week after the last one. Kathy Park, NBC News.
NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams joins us from Washington. Pete, good evening. What else do we know about the shooter?
Well, police in Texas, Jose, with the help of the FBI and the ATF, are now looking into the background of this man identified as the suspect, Patrick Crusius. Authorities say he's from Allen, Texas. That's a Dallas suburb. Law enforcement officials in Texas say they believe he wrote a roughly 600-word essay on the internet and posted it an hour or so before the shooting. It says the attack was motivated by anti-immigrant hatred, and it expresses support for those 2 deadly shooting attacks in Christchurch, New Zealand in March that targeted mosques. The gunman in those attacks was in turn inspired by a man who carried out a deadly shooting in Denmark in 2011. Officials in Texas say the weapon used in today's shooting was an AK-47 semi-automatic assault-style rifle, and the ATF is working tonight to figure out when and where that was purchased and whether it was bought legally. For now, police in Texas are in charge of this investigation, but if it turns out that Crusius in fact did write the internet posting, federal authorities could file hate crime charges. An administration official says tonight that no decision has been made about that. Attorney General William Barr issued a brief statement tonight saying, quote, those who commit such atrocities should be held accountable swiftly and to the fullest extent the law allows. Jose?
Pete Williams in Washington, thank you. Reporter Shelby Kapp from our NBC affiliate KTSM in El Paso joins us from the Walmart. It's a massive investigation at this hour, Shelby.
Well, that's right. We are standing directly behind that Walmart where that shooting took place this morning, and it is still an active scene, even though this has been going on for hours. Now, it was more active earlier in the day. We did see SWAT and multiple police units already leave the scene today, but there are still a lot of men here on the ground. Now, what they tell us is that the shooting first occurred in Walmart, but then they received multiple reports, the El Paso police telling us, from the Cielo Vista Mall, and they're saying right now only that one man in custody. However, that could change due to those other reports that did come in, but they are ruling out another shooter at this moment. Now, they do tell us that this could turn into a mass fatality. However, they have not released the exact numbers yet due to the amount of people that were leaving in their own vehicles, and actually that Walmart parking lot still full of cars right now because a lot of people were not able to leave from that scene. And as I said, they told us, the El Paso Police Department, that they would update us on the number of people involved as soon as those numbers became available. Now, we did see video of people helping everyone out of the Walmart to try and get them to the hospitals as quickly as possible. Jose?
Shelby Kapp, thank you very much. This was the second mass shooting this week at a so-called soft target, an unprotected public place where people gather. It can be a mall, a festival, or even a church. NBC's Dasha Burns now on just how vulnerable these places can be.
It's become all too common. Just 1 week after the last mass shooting, another one terrifying a community. This time at a shopping mall in El Paso. There have been 249 mass shootings so far this year, all of them at soft targets. Places like sports venues, shopping centers, schools, and parks are particularly vulnerable for their open space and relative lack of security.
If I see someone that's wearing a large trench coat in 90-degree weather, that's going to set an alarm off in my mind that something is not right.
Retired NYPD Lieutenant Darren Porter points out some potential red flags for law enforcement in a large New York City park. What are the challenges in securing a place like this?
We have thousands of people in Bryant Park right now, so it's impossible for us to have 100% security here. But the key is omnipresence.
Even when soft targets do step up security, there are still vulnerabilities. At last week's Garlic Festival in Gilroy, attendees reported seeing security on site. Gilroy police had a compound on the grounds with horses and motorcycles. But it didn't stop Santino William Lagan from cutting through a fence and shooting 15 people, leaving 3 of them dead. So what's your message to people coming to parks like this, coming to concerts every day?
The apex is awareness. You want to be aware of your surroundings. You want to know how to enter and how to exit as quickly and as safely as possible.
If you see something suspicious, tell authorities. Dasha Burns, NBC News, New York.
President Trump weighed in on the shooting today, pledging his full support for the victims in the city of El Paso, and the 2020 candidates weighed in as well. Kelly O'Donnell is traveling with the president in New Jersey. Kelly, good evening. How did the president find out?
Well, good evening, Jose. The first word from advisors came to us telling us that the president was working the phones from his Bedminster, New Jersey residence, and he called Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the U.S. Attorney General William Barr. And then the president put his own voice out publicly on Twitter, and he said, terrible shooting in El Paso. Reports are very bad, many killed. He said he's working with local, state, and local authorities. And then his last line really stands out. God be with you all. Jose?
Kelly O'Donnell, and the tragedy also drew a reaction from many in the Democratic presidential field.
Yes, that's right, Jose. What we saw today is many of the candidates were together in Las Vegas at an event there, but none perhaps more personally than Beto O'Rourke, who is, of course, the former congressman representing El Paso, his hometown. He spoke emotionally backstage.
I'm incredibly saddened, and it is very hard to think about this.
He called his hometown very strong, and he's canceled campaign events over the next few days so he can return home. Jose?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you very much. To another frightening scene tonight, this one at a beach near San Diego where a cliff above it collapsed, sending dirt and debris below, trapping beachgoers and killing 3. Molly Hunter joins us from Encinitas, California. Molly, what have authorities learned?
Jose, good evening. We've actually just learned the very tragic news that all three victims were members of the same family, a daughter, a mother, and an aunt. They were just here for a fun day at the beach. Now, you can see right there where those flowers are. That is actually where that chunk of cliff came off. But this entire area, you see this yellow tape, is still closed.
We have 3 victims just north of the Grandview Circuit.
Tonight, a popular surf spot in Southern California off limits after a 30-foot slab of cliff collapsed, killing 3 people.
We had 2 other patients. Both of them were minor injured.
It happened just before 3 p.m. local time without warning. The beaches were packed as beachgoers were facing the ocean at low tide, caught off guard as the sand came rushing in from behind.
Like if you dump a bucket of sand, a 5-gallon bucket onto the beach, imagine that, times 1,000.
First responders, including lifeguards on duty, jumped into action, arriving on scene within minutes.
You could see them aggressively doing CPR in the back of the truck. It's really hard to watch. It's scary.
These cliffs are unstable, and actually this stuff slides all the time.
The city of Encinitas even warns visitors of the possibility for landslides and stresses on their website that hiking near or directly on top of the bluffs is prohibited, adding it's important for visitors to avoid standing or sitting directly underneath unstable bluffs since they may collapse. And officials say beachgoers, above all, need to stay alert. What do you tell beachgoers who want to come enjoy the beautiful coast?
This is a natural environment, and the beach is always dynamic, so it means it's changing every minute of every day. When we have a tragedy like this, it really reminds people that you need to stay away from the bluffs.
So enjoy what we've got in California, but be safe about
Absolutely. Enjoy what we have and realize that just like any place you go in nature, it's a natural environment, and bad things can happen when you're not paying attention.
Now, when the tide is high on days like this, you see that high water line. There's not really room even for chairs for beachgoers to sit in. But as the tide goes out, authorities say you should really be about 30, 40 feet away from those bluffs. But always, always listen to the lifeguards on duty. Jose?
Molly Hunter, thank you very much. Still ahead tonight, pilots in trouble. We'll tell you why 2 got arrested today and the flight canceled. We are back now with new concerns about airline safety, this time concerning pilots at major airlines and whether they've been drinking before flying. In the second incident this week, 2 pilots were arrested while attempting to board their flights after authorities suspected them of drinking. Kelly Kobiella has more.
At Scotland's Glasgow airport, 2 pilots arrested this morning under laws governing pilot sobriety. The unidentified men, aged 61 and 45, due to Captain United Airlines flight UA162 to Newark from Glasgow. The voyage cancelled. Scottish police confirming the pair are in custody pending a scheduled court appearance on Tuesday, 6th of August. United Airlines in a statement reiterating its strict no-tolerance policy for alcohol, adding that the pilots were immediately removed from service, prompting passenger anger, this traveler asking, "Is this the best you can do, UA?" This isn't the first time United pilots have been caught out. In 2016, 2 United Airlines pilots were arrested and subsequently jailed after attempting to fly while over the alcohol limit. First Officer Paul Grabenk was sentenced to 10 months in prison. His colleague, Roberta Licona, jailed for 15 months. Alcohol in flying has been a problem for the airline industry. This week, a Delta pilot was removed from a plane at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. And in February, an American Airlines flight was canceled after one of its pilots was arrested in Manchester, England. Kelly Kobiella, NBC News, London.
There was yet another shark attack today, this one just off Miami. Up and down the East Coast, beaches are closed this weekend due to shark sightings. Morgan Chesky has more on why and spoke to one man who survived an attack.
They're the calm waters just minutes from Miami that this morning turned dangerous in an instant.
Just confirmed the Marine Patrol copy. Had someone with a hand injury en route.
The call, a reported shark bite. The victim, a man diving offshore. The damage so bad, rescuers rushed him from the waters to the nearest trauma center. The alleged shark attack, Florida's 3rd in just 2 weeks. Just up the coast, 18-year-old Reed Zipperer ended up with 19 stitches after a surfing trip turned into a fight for survival.
I literally got on the board and I paddled once and it bit me. So I was like, wow, that's unlucky.
So far this year, the U.S. has seen a reported 34 shark attacks, one of them deadly. 65-year-old Thomas Smiley of California killed swimming in Maui. And sharks can even be a danger outside the water. This week, charter boat captain Rick Caton reeled in a black-tipped shark off Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, which then clamped down on his cab.
He was like a dog with a big stick in his mouth. It seemed like an eternity when he was old, knowing we couldn't get him off.
Experts don't have a specific cause for what's behind these attacks, but say warmer temperatures could put sharks and swimmers in close proximity even more.
They can move faster, further, hunt better if things are warm, especially if they are adapted to the warmer climates.
From Cape Cod to Florida, shark sightings have shut down beaches during a busy summer season, making many rethink their plans.
We don't go in as deep. We're not afraid to go in the water, but we don't go much over waist deep.
Tonight in Miami, rescuers say the diver is expected to survive. His encounter only adding to an already growing concern of what lies beneath these waters. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Miami.
And we are back in a moment with a story of a college sports star and the mystery about why his sister might have gunned him down. Plus, the comeback, how scientists are bringing this endangered species back from the brink of extinction. We are back now with the murder mystery that has a university in mourning. Why did the sister of a star athlete allegedly shoot and kill him? The sister is now in jail. The community is looking for answers. Kenneth Gibson has a story.
My time at Portland State has been a lot to me.
The haunting words from star athlete Deontay Strickland in a video posted just weeks ago.
It was a time for me to come back home and get a chance to play in front of my family and just be closer to my family and help my little brother a lot with school.
The 22-year-old was a popular student and athlete at Portland State University, playing both basketball and football. But yesterday, he was killed, gunned down, allegedly by his sister, Tamina Strickland. His family now asking why.
He's a very nice kid. He didn't get in no trouble. He barely know where the police was, let alone get in trouble. He just did all things right. Went to school.
The shooting Friday afternoon, Deontay at home in Northeast Portland with his family when his sister walked in, allegedly shooting him, his aunt, and grandmother. Both women made it out alive, but Deontay did not survive. Kenneth Carter says he was driving down the street when Deontay stumbled into the road pleading for help.
His arms were flailing and flapping as to kind of signal to stop me. I stopped the car, rolled down the passenger window. He kind of came by my passenger window, was still yelling help.
Some construction workers on the road saw Deontay wounded, bleeding from the chest and lower back. They tried in vain to perform CPR on him as he struggled for breath. Tonight, the family in disbelief over the triple shooting with no clear motive, as students mourn the loss of one of their own.
The happiest person you'll ever meet. His smile just lit up any room he walked into.
A life cut short, but his impact lives on.
Don't take the time for granted. It goes by fast, so try to enjoy every moment and just have fun.
So, Kenneth, what's next in the investigation?
Well, overnight, Tamina Strickland, the sister, was taken into custody, and she's now facing murder and attempted murder charges. Police right now have no idea what sparked all of this. Her brother, Deontay, just graduated, had his undergrad degree last month, and was going back for his master's this fall.
Kenneth Gibson, thank you very much.
Thanks.
A day at a Pennsylvania racetrack has turned deadly for a spectator. 67-year-old Richard Speck was killed by an out-of-control race car at the Williams Grove Speedway last night. Speck was sitting in his pickup truck when it was hit by the car that went over the infield fence. When we come back, the ultimate comeback, how one group is working to bring an endangered frog back from the brink of extinction. World-famous Yosemite Park may soon sound a little different. If you listen closely, you could hear the distinct call of a particular frog that has been on the brink of extinction. Steve Patterson tells us about the bold project to bring them back.
137.
Call it a comeback for the ages.
Oh, hi. This is like, hey, let me go.
This is back up. If you listen closely, you can actually hear the San Francisco Zoo making history in these tanks.
I like the little noises. They do make fun noises.
They're bringing back California's iconic red-legged frog, the state amphibian, by first breeding a new generation in captivity at the San Francisco Zoo. Immortalized in literature, thanks to author Mark Twain, these amphibian ambassadors were basically wiped out at Yosemite National Park thanks to natural and man-made enemies. a sign not to take lightly.
Amphibians are definitely what we consider a canary in the coal mine. I mean, that idea is, an animal that you have in the environment, if they start to decline, it tells you something about the environment.
Now, after being gone for decades, the red-legged frog is ready to go back to Yosemite. First, zoo biologists embed tracking chips in the frog's skin to track their new life here.
You go, little friends.
Then, finally, after a life in captivity, they're ready for their first leap into the wild. Some swim deep, others seem to just take it all in. This winter's massive snowmelt providing a perfect storm.
We couldn't pick a better time to be reintroducing frogs today than right now with how much water we have, and there's just so many places for them to go.
And now, new evidence this experiment is working. Biologists are finding the frogs' eggs, a sign they're breeding in the foothills of the Sierra once again. This experiment, a unique partnership between the park, the zoo, and the Yosemite Conservancy. Biologists hope it's a model for other threatened species.
You want to have kids interacting with nature, and to me, frogs, turtles, fish are the best way to do that.
A missing piece to the ecology puzzle threatening species around the world. Steve Patterson, NBC News, San Francisco.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart reporting from New York. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.